Welcome back to the Exposure History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. In the 1970s, a group of well-dressed individuals look out of the iconic Bolshoi Theater in Moscow. Each person is dressed in their best attires, standing all together to attend this occasion. Their faces say it all as they record this memory in one of the most upscale cultural places. One of the hunters is seen in the wilderness with his rifle on his shoulder in peculiar manner. A bottle of vodka and strands of sausage are suspended off the barrel of his gun, illustrating the practical side of Soviet hunting trips. This picture captures the innovation of rural life. It is a picture of a bride standing with her party at the monument Donbass Liberators in Donetsk. And behind them is the war memorial as they celebrate this significant day of their lives. The poses and expressions are formal and demonstrate the importance of this moment to all present. A team photograph shows football players in neat rows with their matching uniforms. The players appear determined in this official team portrait on the field. The picture is in medium format and captures the spirit of Soviet sporting culture and the pride of athletes across the region during those times. During Soviet times, children and teachers move outdoors in their Ukrainian town of Opytne as part of school life. The style is typical, and the school is one of the hubs in the community life. Students sit together living an ordinary day that would one day become an extraordinary memory. May 1922. In the special photography day, students are standing outside the school in orderly groups. Girls have white ribbons in their hair, and all are adorned in their best clothes at the occasion. The photographer captures this rare moment as you find them very excited and full of anticipation. This is a picture of a farm with a group of farm workers in the Soviet Donetsk region. Their clothing is worn and shows the hard manual labor that characterized their working lives. They are dignified even as they halt to take this photograph despite the hard task they are doing. The workers in the farms are shown working in a gold field with the sky appearing blue. The laborers are stooping over their activities, picking the harvests that go as far as to the horizon. This color photograph makes the world see the image of beauty of the agricultural work. The records of the military service indicates that a person was involved in the Second World War. Soviet symbols and official stamps used to record service in the war or otherwise adorn the papers. The documents are the symbol of personal sacrifice in the Soviet system during the wartime years. The first architectural object in Volgograd, Russia, is a building in the form of a modern-looking concrete supermarket or restaurant with its unique architecture of the Soviet era. The optimism of urban development in the time is conducive in the clean lines and the large windows in the building. A groom and a bride are captured in a non-conventional wedding photograph. Their informal nature indicates the alternative of the Soviet wedding photography. This is a shot which shows that even in the formal culture, young couples manage to find the means of demonstrating their individuality and their personal style. Older men in medals and military decorations are united at celebrations of Victory Day. Their chests are blanketed with awards and are all marks of hardships they have undergone. The veterans are seen proudly with their faces revealing how time passed, as well the burden of their memories of war. One sunny day, families and friends come to a forest clearing to have a picnic. Blankets are thrown down on the ground and people sit in loose groups, eating food and chatting. It is nothing but a basic scene showing the happiness of being out in the air with family. A young woman is captured as one of the children in a group of children right after a school event. She is dressed in white shirt that is characteristic of Soviet photographs. This is Valentina, who would assist in the identification of lost photographs in the darkroom of her grandfather. A portrait shows Valentina's sister and aunt, calm and graceful in elegant Soviet-era fashion, their clothes suggesting a special occasion. They represent two generations of the family. This precious photograph, like many others, was left behind when families fled the war, believing they would return in just a few days. A formal portrait of an older woman portrays her strength and dignity of the generation that she is. She is conservatively dressed, which was a characteristic of that photo period. Being a wife of the director of a darkroom, she observed hundreds of moments in her life captured on film. It is a portrait of a man in outdoor attire in the middle of a hunting mission and the forest scenery. He is holding his equipment, comfortable in natural setting. This was the grandfather of Valentina, who was in charge of the photographic darkroom where all these memories were made. Captain Robert Falcon Scott is holding a camera where he learns how to work a camera under the guidance of one of his instructors. He is in expedition gear and is obsessed with the gear to come up with his mastery of gear he will use to record their expedition. Within the wooden hut of the expedition, Scott sits over his diary and is studiously writing down the events of the day and what he has seen. He is enclosed within the inside of the hut, which vividly depicts the cramped yet remarkably efficient living conditions of the Antarctic base. This remarkable picture by Scott, shot in December 1911, shows a vast snow-white landscape in the far ahead. The white stretch all the way to the horizon indicates the hostile nature of the frozen land the group had to bravely endure on their historic expedition to the South Pole. This is an early photograph of an expedition dominated by ice formations and the snowfields taken under the good conditions. The stark beauty of the Antarctica is recorded in white, and the gray tones indicating how the alien world that Scott and his men ventured into would look like. A portrait of a Mexican farm laborer, Rafael Tamayo, captures a portrait in 1957. His simple work clothes have pegged him into a straight stare with reserved dignity. This man was in Mexico who came to the fields of California and was leaving his family back to get the money. A group of workers is engaged in the vineyards during harvest time that is in blazing California sun. These Mexican bracheros came in under the government guest worker program and performed the hard, dirty labor that kept the farms going and the agrarian economy alive and well throughout the area. Mexican workers have their documents that they present at a recruiting center to demonstrate that they are authorized to work. Both men are holding their papers, believing that these papers are their hope in life back at home. These papers were the disillusionment of an opportunity to their struggling families. Hundreds of men are arranged in long queues in one of the depots of reception at El Centro, California. The line is quite long in length and clearly indicates how many people were employed in this difficult journey. Everyone in this queue is far away, wishing to find a contract. The process of processing also involves sprays of DDT powder on workers. The men are statues with their hands high in air, and bodies combined with clothing are covered with clouds of white powder. This dehumanizing act was the norm, and these workers were livestock than people who deserved dignity. A Mexican worker stands on the top of a ladder that is set in a date palm tree in California. He is employed at unsafe heights without safety equipment. The trees are bigger than the worker, indicating the size and hard task that these men did daily with little pay. When Tamayo and his colleagues have a meal break, they all sit on the floor and eat their food. The men have a moment of relaxation, conversing after hours of hard work. Their expression is not only weary, but also the bond that forms between people who do hard work. Tamayo and his colleague worker are lying on their bunk beds inside the laborers' barracks, relaxing. It is a simple shelter, small and congested with little privacy and comfort to the men who are staying there. The farms offered these free accommodations, but it was never truly close to home. A million miles away, camera shows the moon in front of the Earth, in front of the black vacuum. The Earth appears to be very alive and vivid as well, with clouds and swirls and the continents visible. And the moon is black. This view alters our sense of location. A bird-eye shot displays the actual size of the Woodstock Music Festival as it extends across the terrain. Hundreds of thousands of human beings occupy every square inch of space, producing an ocean of humanity stretching to the horizon. This perception reveals a key event of the counterculture movement. Twin actresses Lisa and Louise Burns are playing with young Danny Lloyd having an intermission in the movie shoot. The three children are calm, with no idea about the horror they were making on the screen. This scene shows that even in the movie, the children were mischievous on set. The orange backpacked hiker is on Mount. Adams observed the huge blast of Mount St. Helens at 37 miles away. This gigantic ash cloud is lifted up in the sky like an atomic explosion, whilst the geologist beholds this disaster unfolding. This image shows one of the most intense eruptions. An aerial view of the Earth demonstrates how the big Pacific Ocean takes up almost the entire view with only a little land sighted around the entire landmass. Such a point of view shows that a significant portion of the Earth is not land, but rather water covering it widely. Aerial view above the Sydney Opera House shows the geometric shapes of the well-known sail-like roof designs. In this view of the bird eye, the legendary building reminds a collective of white shells or flower petals made on the harbor. The building's architecture and symmetry are revealed in the photograph. Background camera shots depict news anchors using a real rooftop rather than the green screen technology. The desk is surrounded by the crews and equipment and is encircled by the actual city skyline that provides a dramatic setting. This demonstrates originality over the digital path most news programs take today. The photographer, Charles Ebers, is on top of a steel beam above New York City and is taking the construction worker lunch photo. The famous photographer is standing on the roof without any safety gear and smokes with a cigarette in his mouth, equally vulnerable to danger, like his subjects. The torch and the crown of the Statue of Liberty are shot by a drone directly. The details and patina of the copper sculpture are visible in a manner that tourists standing at the bottom of the sculpture do not see. This view turns the monument into an abstract composition. One of the photos made immediately upon the building of the Twin Towers reveals the radical hollow design outward. The new structural design made use of the exterior walls to carry load and gave spacious open floors. This groundbreaking method proved vulnerable during the tragic events of September 11, 2001. When positioned directly underneath the Tower of the Eiffel, one can see the metalwork of the tower, which is made up of elaborate designs that are lit at night as well. The beams of iron crisscross each other geometrically overhead in a disorienting view of the complexity of the structure. The American Gothic painting has the real-life models next to the portrait, and they appear as stern as well. Grant Wood did not mean a married couple when he captured the actual people. It was his sister and his dentist. Their expressions match the painting, showing how serious they looked. Aerial shots of the old pyramids reveal that these are resting on the very edges and butts of contemporary Cairo. The gigantic structures are not the ones that are the deserts alone, like most of the pictures indicate, but are rather the ones that are bounded by the busy city. Behind the scenes at the Star Wars kitchen, one of the actors, David Prowse, stands in his costume of Vader, but wearing his helmet off. He is a giant to other cast actors, but then seeing his ordinary face above the legendary black suit shatters the aura of the villain. In one of the photographs at the back, the Great Sphinx can be viewed with its worn side, which is not always captured in the tourist photos. The ancient limestone sculpture has been eroded and damaged, which cannot be seen through the front angle. This view reveals the Sphinx's form. The original mechanical setup that was used in filming the renowned scrolling text is being carefully adjusted by a technician in a bright red plaid shirt. The opening crawl was not done in computer graphics. Rather, it was done on a board of physical letters filmed at an angle. The gun shark in the film is fully open in the water, having been serviced with its mechanical interior being open. The shark was called Bruce by the crew, but was in fact a number of different shot versions. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the faulty puppet that terrified viewers. There is a close-up of the studio where the classic sitcom is filming with all crew and equipment in place. Adjacent to the tiny living room, set about which Lucy and Ricky acted, is multiple cameras, lighting rigs, and dozens of technicians. The reality contrasts with the cozy atmosphere. George W. Bush is looking through the window of the presidential helicopter at the smoke coming out of Ground Zero. His expression is similar to that of a person who has experienced shock and is under stress, as he looks down at the destruction of the attacks of September 11th. Photographers have documented Prince William obscenely touching himself as he knuckles into his car. The mayhem in all the overpowering crowds of hysterical reporters is of the royal family being assailed in out-of-control mobs at a time when they should be having a very personal moment, life under constant scrutiny. 4 people are on the sidewalk awaiting the passing of the traffic to be able to capture the iconic crossing of the Abbey Road. They appear as a couple of average individuals at a crossroads and are dressed in their typical 60s fashion. It shows the preparation of music history. The audience that attended the speech of Martin Luther King Jr. cuts across the whole of the National Mall as seen in the Lincoln Memorial. It is standing in this place where you can see tens of thousands of citizens who came here in order to witness this historic moment. There are 2 distinct sets of arch areas standing high above the ground with construction cranes on their top to join them. Employees had to carefully make sure that they inserted the final pieces at the right moment, since temperature fluctuation would either close or open the gap between parts. The Lincoln Memorial is located on unfinished soil in the absence of a reflecting pool, which is so famous today. The rough landscape and the swampy nature depict the monument prior to the completed monument architecture being made before the Grand National Mall construction was done. It shows Washington's transformation. The film is captured using camera personnel and equipment that are covering Marlon Brando as he films the famous wedding scene Whispers. The frame is crowded with several crew members, lights, and technical equipment, and Brando is doing his legendary improvisation. It reveals how chaos becomes cinematic intimacy on screen. The other side of the famous neon welcome sign reveals bare metal structure and access terminals. The ugly backside does not have all the romanticism and drama of the glitzy front that everybody takes pictures of. It reminds us that even glamour needs maintenance and care to keep shining brightly. The photo shoot is done in the underwater environment, with band members floating in the water, gripping cameras and crew to feature on their groundbreaking album cover. The arrangement of the pool and the numerous takes also indicates how formidable the appearance of an image as spontaneous can be. The spinning wheel that is the trademark of the game show is placed on a workshop that exposes the rough wooden rear with support mechanisms. The backside is printed upside down with numbers so that the glamour contestants can refer to them backstage. It clearly reveals the wheel's practical design. The perspective of the interior of the entrance hall of the White House depicts the famous checkered floor of the elegant and magnificent front door. The doorway includes red velvet curtains, and the polished marble is very impressive and formal. It shows the grand entrance welcoming the president's dignitaries daily. The whole crew and cast of the office looks through the window blinding at the last scene being shot outside. The bittersweet tone of their expressions denotes the fact that the favorite series came to the end with the 9th season. It shows everyone saying goodbye in a heartfelt finale. Under a huge concert stage, there is a support apparatus that exposes vast amounts of metalwork, scaffolding, and concrete blocks. This underground platform supports the platform on which thousands of fans enjoy their favorite artists. It reveals the massive engineering ensuring safety for thousands enjoying powerful outdoor concert performances. A photographer sits at a computer when there are a number of screens and professional lighting devices in a dark studio. The default wallpaper in Windows is one of the most famous and carefully designed by utilizing photography and digital effects. It is not just some photo which was taken. With scenes filled with crew around performers, a wide-angle shot shows the cramped reality of the famous Tiny Desk concert series of NPR. To every possible spot of the small office where intimate performances occur, there are cameras, microphones, and staff. It clearly shows the effort behind intimate viral performances. The tallest man in the world is the 8-foot 11-inch tall Robert Wadlow in a courtroom at 1939. A normal-sized man holding a book seems to be almost at the level of the chest of Wadlow, and there is another man in a position of amazement. Titanic is a film set in the shipyard in 1910, 2 years earlier than its maiden voyage. There are workers and scaffoldings about the huge ship as the construction personnel hurry to finish what was to be a ship that was unsinkable. The ship's truly immense scale is evident. The first McDonald's in Des Plaines, Illinois began operations in the year 1955 with its trademark golden arches. The parking lot is full of cars of the times as customers are pouring in to enjoy the new speedy service system. It clearly marks the revolution in American dining. The disorganized desk of Albert Einstein is left just like he left it on the day he died, April 18, 1955. There are scattered papers, open books, and notes which are all over the surfaces, and at the back is a chalkboard with complicated mathematical formulas on it. One of the pictures depicts Albert Einstein, his wife, Elsa, and renowned actor Charlie Chaplin together at the premiere of the movie in 1931. The most renowned entertainer has been matched with the scientific mind of the century, which is an odd pair, but it also makes interesting reading. In 1928, a live lion is about to roar on a stage, and a cameraman and sound technician are recording the legendary roar. The film uses old-fashioned equipment to shoot what will be known as one of the most iconic opening sequences in cinema. It created cinematic history. In 1932, construction workers sit casually on a steel beam 800 feet above New York City. The men appear unafraid as they stand on the beam small to support them in making Rockefeller Center. Their legs are hanging on the side as the city is stretching far below. In Memphis, African-American protesters march down Beale Street with "I am a man" signs in their hands as armed National Guard soldiers confront them. This was one of the tense encounters that occurred on March 29th of year 1968, days before the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. John Lennon becomes elusive to screaming fans in 1966 who are barely controlled by police officers in their attempts to get hold of him 3 years after Beatlemania had commenced. The confusion demonstrates several fans who desperately grab onto Beatle on the left and are physically held by officers. On the day that Disneyland opens in 1955, Walt Disney proudly flies the Mark Twain steamboat, leading the parade in a steamboat of open boats with his close companion, Mickey Mouse. The founder of the theme park is on stage with his dream realized at last as he smiles. The Roosevelt Hotel ballroom is full of elegantly dressed people in the very first Academy Awards banquet on May 16, 1929. Tables are organized in tidy rows because the Hollywood elite come to the most prestigious annual event of cinematic nature. It marks Hollywood's golden age, beginning, and legacy. On the 14th of July, 1975, the outside of a theater in Ann Arbor, Michigan shows a huge crowd lining up at both ends of the street. The movie itself proudly states the fact that it is terrifyingly brilliant as eager people excitedly stand in line to watch the blockbuster. In the presidential campaign poster of 1860, Lincoln has his portrait topped by two allegorical figures, depictions of liberty and union. The official design is clear of the political approach of those days that preceded his rise to the presidency in 1861. This poster helped elect Lincoln president. Diana is 13 and sitting on the grass beside her pony Soufflé in the 19th year of July in a summer in Scotland. She is in the house of her mother, and she does not imagine that she would become the most photographed woman in the entire world one day. In 1947, women took to the streets of a city with their signs protesting the Christian Dior fashion of ultra-long skirts, which were too restrictive and thus called the New Look. The style was perceived as a waste, retrogressive to the liberation of women following World War II. On August 15, 1945, countless thousands gather at Times Square to say "Victory over Japan Day." people crowd the streets between structures with jubilation flowing all over the city. It is an aerial shot of the relief and joy Americans felt as peace finally returned to their homeland again. In the Cleopatra set, Elizabeth Taylor is on the lap of her husband Eddie Fisher in the year 1961, and standing next to them is Richard Burton, their co-star. The conflict is not tense but is present. In 3 years, Taylor was to marry Fisher to Burton amid great scandal. One arm and one leg suspended off the Eiffel Tower in the 1880s at the time of construction is a bold worker. He has neither a harness nor any sort of safety gear since he is working more than 1,000 feet high over the busy streets of Paris. 2 dancers in fancy evening gowns are being marched off by a police officer after they are arrested at the National Variety Artists' Exotic Carnival. As a striking early indicator of the persecution against the LGBTQ people, the accusations were masquerading and indecent exposure of wearing drag in open streets. During the 1910 Great Flood of Paris, a man is standing on his balcony and floodwaters are covering the street beneath him. The water goes all the way to his second-floor balcony, where he is looking at the damage that took 2 months. This disaster transformed Paris forever. In the year 1942, 16-year-old future Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean Baker, is in her wedding dress with first husband Jim Dougherty. The bride is young and innocent with her long white dress and veil, whereas her groom is 21 years old and proud of her beauty. The only family member who survived the Holocaust is Anne Frank's father Otto, who opens the secret bookshelf door in 1979. Queen Juliana of the Netherlands is looking at him when he shows her the secret attic where his family was hiding against Nazis. The attic stands as remembrance. The president of ATT, Walter Sherman Gifford, sits before the television viewing the first television broadcast in the United States on April 7, 1927. This technological breakthrough was made by more than 1,000 workers as he watched Herbert Hoover on screen, who was to become a president later. The participants in the 1921 Miss America pageant march in bathing suits with sashes on their breasts. The style is unlike the modern pageants, and the women sport plain one-piece swimsuits, which were the trend of the time. The first winner was Miss Washington, D.C., second on the left. In 1933, one of the remaining Tasmanian tigers is seen through a wire fence in a zoo in Tasmania, Australia. The striped animal sees through the fence and does not suspect a thing. He is a representation of a dying species that will disappear in only a few years. Helen Keller, a disability activist and author, is 75, and she is in her kitchen chopping fruit on a wooden board. She is an independent person who has learned to do the day-to-day chores and does it with ability despite being deaf and blind at a tender age. One of the first Apple computer systems is displayed with a monitor, a keyboard, 2 disk drives, and a printer on it, which were used in 1981. This arrangement was in place before the revolutionary Macintosh that would revolutionize computing forever came into the picture in 1984. In 1958, a French Foreign Legion soldier uses a donkey on his shoulders in the Algerian War. They saved the poor animal and made it their unit mascot, which they named Bambi with love. The poignant scene shows kindness amid war as troops rescue an innocent creature from death. Rowan Atkinson is a 17-year-old who plays an electrical engineering student in Newcastle University in 1972. He studied technical subjects way back before becoming the popular Mr. Bean figure as he developed his comic skills. This photograph shows a sober student destined to become Britain's most beloved comedy icon. In the case of Mayor of Burlington, Bernie Sanders, he cleans up trash on his own in a community park after getting elected in the year 1981. It was his maiden electoral win, and he proved his hands-on approach through cleaning the community with his own hands first. Meet Yuri Knorozov, the Russian linguist who message-cracked the ancient Maya script in 1953. Centuries of Mayan history and culture were unlocked by his pioneering project. This is a picture of the great scholar who dedicated his time to uncover the heritage of one civilization to the present day. Butedma, a Mongolian girl, is seen in a lovely photograph of 2003 years old, playing an ecstatic game with her camel. This warm-up moment was taken by a photographer known as Han Chengli when she was only 5 years old. The photograph shows their special, loving bond. Two middle-aged men in fancy attire stand together with their similarly fancy dog in Stockholm, Sweden in the 1880s. The three subjects are smartly dressed in their official clothes with a touch of Victorian times fashion and sophistication. This photograph shows humans' timeless affection for their elegantly dressed pets. In 1894, a Kiowa girl, OOB, takes a three-hide dress decorated with teeth of the elks in Oklahoma. Her outdated dress is a symbol of the rich culture and workmanship of American tribes. This rare photo preserves the beauty and dignity of indigenous people during a charging era. In the mid-1990s, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd were lounging in their tiny apartment in New York. They were struggling musicians living in congested quarters before they became comedy heroes on Saturday Night Live. The photo is a candid image of two emerging stars in the world of entertainment. There was even a village of tree houses named Les Guinguettes de Robinson that used to serve roast chicken and wine in the 19th century Paris. Customers would use rope pulleys to pull drinks and food into the areas. These restaurants symbolized a bygone era of eating as the city modernized. The Wizard of Oz. Munchkins actors who are set to play the Munchkins arrive at MGM Studios in 1938. The immense assortment of miniature persons came to make the fairy fantasy Oz. This behind-the-scenes photo highlights the casting team's remarkable effort to bring L. Frank Baum's story is alive. Young Barack Obama and his classmates hold signs protesting against homework in Honolulu, Hawaii during the 1970s. The future president participated in this light-hearted student demonstration long before his political career began. This charming photograph shows young Obama joining classmates in a timeless protest against excessive daily homework assignments. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on anything.